A couple of things I want to point out. The first thing I want to point out is this is the only pre-World War II blast furnace complex standing in the world. This is it. You won't find this anywhere else in the world. And there's our designation of National Historic Landmark in 2006. So this place will never be torn down. If you look at the schematic in front of you, what you see in light brown or beige is what is still standing. What you see in white is what used to be here.
Whoa.
The land extended from that railroad bridge down there, which you can just see, all the way to the Rankin Bridge, which is the big high-level bridge that you crossed over. If you came here to see a steel mill, I'm sorry, because this is not a steel mill. This is a blast furnace. A blast furnace made iron, made pig iron. It took iron ore, made it into pig iron, created pig iron, took it across the river to Homestead Works, which is where they manufactured the steel. So basically, steel is iron without the carbon. You needed another process to take it from the iron to the steel. This is a smelting process. So what you did is you took iron ore, which came from the lakehead in Minnesota. The Mesabi Range was brought down by Laker to Conneaut, Ohio, then brought down into this plant by rail car. Everything came into this plant by rail car, not by barge. Very little came in here by barge. We'll show you a little bit later where everything was offloaded. This plant was founded in 1884. The first furnace was put in here in 1884 by two gentlemen called the Founds brothers. They bought this parcel of land. They found an old blast furnace in Ohio. They tore it down, they brought it here, and they reassembled it piece by piece. And in 1884, the Carrie Furnace Company opened. And Carrie 1 was blown in 1884. It was called the Carrie Furnace Company. It was named after their sister, Carrie, which was a very common name in their family. The other thing is blast furnaces have historically been named after women. For whatever reason you want to assume. First furnaces in Pittsburgh were called the Eliza furnaces. They came in. So during my 40-year career in the steel industry, I knew Amelia and Eliza and all these wonderful ladies. Anyway, in 1884, business was extremely good. This was a merchant furnace, so they sold their iron on the open market to whoever would buy it at the best price. Business was so good that in 1889 they built a second furnace called Carrie 2. They also built 100 beehive coke ovens. Now, a coke oven makes coal into coke. The main reason they put the mills here, not only because of the water and because of the labor force, was because of the Pittsburgh seam. Pittsburgh seam was one of the largest coal deposits in North America, and the type of coal it produced was very conducive to the manufacture of coke. It had good thermal properties, it burned hot, it burned clean, and it was perfect for the manufacture of iron. So that's one of the reasons they put the mills here, is because it was near the coke. So they got 2 furnaces and 100 beehive coke ovens. The 1890s business started to drop. The steel industry's always been cyclical. In the 1890s there was a depression. So they were having a little bit of trouble selling their iron at a good price. The other thing they were doing was a lot of their competitors were integrating too. And integration means you put all the processes for making the steel on one site. Buying iron off-site and bringing it on-site and remelting it was not economically feasible, so the Carrie Furnace Company was having some problems. They had 2 options. The first option was either putting steel-making facilities here, which was not a good idea. They didn't have the capital. It was a down market. They're not sure whether it would have succeeded. Anyway, in 1898, they sold this plant for the princely sum of $750,000 to the guy who owned the steel mill across the river, a guy named Andrew Carnegie.
Nice.
Yeah, that guy.
Nice.
He had his iron on this side of the river, but he wanted to get across the river. So he built that bridge that you saw coming in on your left. Anybody notice the bridge when they came in on your left on the bus? That's called the hot metal bridge. That is the first hot metal bridge that was ever built. There are 7 standing left in the United States. 2 of them are in Pittsburgh. One of them was here. Because you're out of towners, I won't ask you where the other one is, but it's on the south side, near Southside Commons. It's called Hot Metal Boulevard. It's one of the major bridges that's used for bike traffic in Pittsburgh right now. Anyway, he built that. The bridge is unique. It's 5 times stronger than a normal bridge, and on each side of the tracks, There's a 6-foot high, 2-inch thick steel plate that's lined with fire brick. Everything in this mill has to be lined with fire brick because of the temperatures that you're operating. The iron was cast at 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit. The air that went into the blast furnaces was 1,400 degrees. You're looking at incredible heat. If molten iron had fallen out of that hot metal bridge from the submarine car into the Monongahela River, there would have been a tremendous explosion. The hot metal bridge was built in 1900. It lasted until 1982 when the last iron was produced here. In 1901, Andrew Carnegie sold Carnegie Steel to J.P. Morgan. It became United States Steel. It was the first United States billion-dollar company. It made Andrew Carnegie the richest man in the world. And everybody knows what Andrew did with his money, which is why everybody likes him today. But 100 years ago, he was probably the most hated man in the country for any number of reasons, which I don't have time to go over. Anyway, between 1901 and 1907, 5 more furnaces were built on this site. What you're seeing are the last 2 furnaces built, Carrie 6 and Carrie 7. They were blown in, and they were started in 1906. They were blown in 1907. They were shut down in 1978. The last iron made on this site was 1982. The last steel made on this site across the river in Homesteadburg, which is now the waterfront shopping complex, was 1986. Between 1976 and 1986, the Pittsburgh area lost 165,000 manufacturing jobs. The whole steel industry disappeared in 10 years. Of the 75 blast furnaces in Pittsburgh, at its peak, there's only 2 left. The 2 left are about 1.5 miles that way at Edgar Thomson Works, which ironically was the first mill that Andrew Carnegie built in 1875. Those are the only 2 that are left standing. All we have left is Edgar Thomson Works, Irwin Works, which is in a place called West Mifflin, where they do the finishing of the steel that comes out of Edgar Thomson Works, and also Clarton Works, which is a coke plant. If you lived in Pittsburgh, you know all about Clarton Works. It was built in 1904. It's the largest coke plant in the United States. It's also the dirtiest. So they've been getting environmental extensions for Clarton for about 30 years. And it's gonna, as long as they keep producing the coke and they keep having the number of jobs that's down there, which is between 1,500 to 2,000 right now, that place is gonna stay open. However, Shenango and Neville Island closed. Anybody heard about Stowe Township? There's a huge cancer cluster. Google Shenango Coke, or Shenango Steel, or Shenango Coke. It's on Neville Island. You'll find some interesting things about how being downwind from one of these plants can affect health. Yes, sir?
That's gone now.
It is gone. It closed about 18 months ago. But there was in Stowe Township, which is near a place called McKees Rocks. I'm sorry, we have McKeesport and McKees Rocks here. Near McKees Rocks in Stowe Township, there still is a major cancer cluster. Anyway, we'll go down here. When you turn around the corner, you will see Carrie 7.
Yeah. For sure. Do you want me to? You got it? Okay.
Well, actually, I worked in the steel industry for about 40 years in sales.
I wonder if I should like film the whole thing continuously or just the good chunks.
See how scenic it is.
Okay.